The rain came down in sheets that October evening, the kind of downpour that turned rural Georgia roads into rivers. Jack Dalton's headlights cut through the darkness as his old pickup truck rumbled down Route 47, 20 miles from anything resembling civilization. At 45, Jack had driven this route 1,000 times, heading home to his small farm after delivering furniture he'd built to a client 3 counties over. The work was good. He had a reputation for quality craftsmanship, but it barely covered expenses for himself and his 12-year-old son Tyler. Life as a widower and single father wasn't easy, but Jack had learned to manage. That's when he saw her. A figure on the side of the road, hunched against the rain, soaked through and stumbling. Jack's first thought was that someone's car had broken down, but as his headlights illuminated the scene, he realized there was no vehicle anywhere in sight. Just a young woman, maybe 19 or 20, wearing a torn dress that hung off one shoulder, no shoes, looking like she'd walked through hell to get here. Jack pulled over immediately, grabbed the emergency blanket from behind his seat, and stepped out into the rain. "Miss, are you okay?" She turned toward him, and Jack's breath caught. Her face was bruised, her lips split, her eyes wild with fear and exhaustion. When she saw him approaching, she stumbled backward, nearly falling. Hey, I'm not going to hurt you," Jack said, holding up his hands. "My name's Jack. You're hurt. Let me help. No, please." Her voice was hoarse, barely audible over the rain. Don't take me back." "I'm not taking you anywhere you don't want to go," Jack said gently, keeping his distance. "But you're injured, and it's pouring rain. I have a truck right here. It's warm and dry. Let me at least get you out of this weather, okay?" She stared at him for a long moment, shivering violently. Then, as if her body made the decision her mind couldn't, she nodded. Jack wrapped the blanket around her shoulders and guided her to the passenger side of his truck. She moved like someone in a trance, mechanically following his directions but not really present. Once inside, she curled into herself, making herself as small as possible against the door. "I'm going to take you to the hospital," Jack said, starting the engine. "No." Her response was immediate and panicked. "No hospital, no police, please. They'll find me. They'll take me back." Jack studied her face in the dim light of the dashboard. Whatever this girl had been through, the terror in her eyes was real. "Okay, no hospital right now, but those injuries need attention. I have a first aid kit at my house, and my late wife was a nurse, taught me some basics. Will you let me at least clean those cuts?" She nodded slowly, still trembling. The drive to Jack's farm took 20 minutes. The girl didn't speak, just stared out the window at the rain-soaked darkness. When they pulled up to the modest farmhouse, she tensed again. "My son's inside," Jack explained. "Tyler. He's 12. Good kid. I promise you're safe here." Tyler met them at the door, his eyes widening at the sight of his father with a battered stranger. To his credit, he didn't ask questions, just moved aside as Jack guided the girl to the living room couch. "Ty, can you grab the first aid kit? And maybe some of your mom's old clothes from the storage box, sweats and a t-shirt." While Tyler scurried off, Jack knelt beside the couch. "I'm going to clean these cuts now, okay? It might sting a little." She nodded, still not speaking. As Jack worked, he noticed more injuries. Defensive wounds on her arms, bruises in the shape of fingerprints on her wrists. This wasn't an accident. Someone had hurt her badly. "Can you tell me your name?" Jack asked gently. For the first time, confusion crossed her face. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. I don't... It's okay, you don't have to. I don't remember," she said, her voice breaking. "I know I should, but I can't. Everything's just... blank." Jack had heard of trauma causing memory loss, but seeing it firsthand was different. "Okay. That's okay. Maybe it'll come back when you're feeling safer. For now, How about we call you something temporary? Just so we have something to call you." Tyler returned with the clothes and first aid kit. "What about Emma?" he suggested shyly. "Like from that book Mom used to read." The girl looked at Tyler, really looked at him for the first time, and something softened in her expression. "Emma, okay." Over the next few days, Emma slowly began to emerge from her shell. She didn't remember anything about her past, not her name, her family, where she came from. But she was polite, helped around the house despite Jack's protests that she should rest, and seemed genuinely grateful for their kindness. Jack knew he should contact the authorities, but every time he suggested it, Emma's panic returned, and something in his gut told him that whoever had hurt her was still looking for her, that she'd been running from something or someone dangerous. "Dad, we can't just keep her here without telling anyone," Tyler said one evening when Emma had gone to bed in the guest room. "What if her family's looking for her? What if the people looking for her are the ones who hurt her?" Jack countered. "Look, I'll make some calls tomorrow. Quiet ones. See if there are any missing person reports that match her description. But until we know more, I'm not putting that girl at risk." Jack did make calls. To local police departments, to missing persons databases. No one matching Emma's description had been reported missing in Georgia or any surrounding states. It was as if she'd appeared out of nowhere. 3 weeks in, something shifted. Emma was helping Jack in his workshop, handing him tools while he worked on a custom dining table, when she suddenly froze. The house had a fountain, she said, her voice distant. A big one, in the front. With lions, stone lions. Jack set down his chisel. "You're remembering something?" "I don't know, maybe. It's like seeing something through fog." She pressed her hands to her temples. "There was a man. He said my father would pay anything to get me back. That I was worth millions." "Your father?" "I can't see his face, but I remember feeling scared, not of my father, of the man talking about him." Emma's breathing quickened. "Jack, what if I was kidnapped? What if I escaped from someone who took me? If this story is connecting with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell us in the comments about second chances and unexpected family bonds that changed your life." Jack made a decision then. He contacted a private investigator he'd served with in the Army, someone who owed him a favor and could be trusted to be discreet. He sent Emma's photo, taken with her permission, and the few details they had, approximate age, the mention of a fountain with lions, a father who might be wealthy. The PI called back 3 days later, his voice shaken. "Jack, you need to sit down for this. The girl you sent me, I think she's Sophia Ashford." "Who?" "Sophia Ashford, daughter of billionaire tech mogul Richard Ashford. She disappeared in 2002 when she was 7 years old. It was huge news, one of the biggest kidnapping cases in the country. They never found her, never found a body." The case went cold. Jack felt his stomach drop. That would make her 24 now. She looks younger. Trauma can do that. Stunt development. "Look, I'm sending you some photos from the original case. There's a birthmark, distinctive one on her left shoulder blade. If your girl has that mark, it's her." That evening, Jack approached Emma carefully. "Can I ask you something? Do you have a birthmark? Left shoulder blade, kind of star-shaped?" Emma's hand went reflexively to her shoulder. "Yes." "How did you know?" Jack showed her the photos the PI had. Sent. Images of a 7-year-old girl with the same green eyes, the same delicate features. News articles about a kidnapping that had devastated a wealthy family. A father who'd spent his fortune searching for his daughter, only to come up empty year after year. "I think we found out who you are," Jack said gently. "Your name is Sophia Ashford. You were taken when you were 7 years old. That was 17 years ago." Sophia, Emma, stared at the photos, tears streaming down her face. 17 years, she whispered. "Where have I been for 17 years?" "I don't know, but your father, Sophia, your father never stopped looking for you." The next 24 hours were a blur. Jack contacted Richard Ashford through his lawyers, explaining the situation carefully. DNA tests were arranged through private channels to confirm what they already knew. And then came the hardest part, telling Sophia that they'd found her family. "What if they don't want me anymore?" she asked, sitting on Jack's porch. "I'm not the little girl they lost. I don't even remember being her." "They'll want you," Jack assured her. A parent never stops loving their child no matter how much time passes. Richard Ashford arrived by helicopter 2 days later, landing in Jack's backfield. He was in his 60s now, silver-haired but still imposing, wearing an expensive suit that looked out of place in rural Georgia. But when he saw Sophia standing on the porch, all that corporate authority crumbled. "Sophie," he breathed, and the way he said it, like a prayer, like a miracle, made it clear that this was real. Sophia took a tentative step forward. I don't remember you. I'm sorry." "That's okay, sweetheart. That's okay." Richard's voice broke. "You're alive. That's all that matters. You're alive and you're safe and you're home." The reunion was emotional, complicated. Sophia had no memory of her family, her childhood, the life she'd been stolen from. Richard brought photo albums, videos, anything that might trigger recognition. Some things sparked faint echoes, a favorite toy, a lullaby her mother used to sing, but mostly it was like learning about a stranger's life. Through careful investigation and therapy, pieces of Sophia's missing years emerged. She'd been held by a kidnapping ring that moved children constantly, never staying in one place long enough to be found. The last location had been a compound in rural Alabama, which she'd escaped from during a raid by a rival criminal group. She'd walked for days before Jack found her. Richard wanted to take Sophia home immediately, to surround her with the best therapists, the finest medical care, everything his money could buy. But Sophia hesitated. "These people, Jack and Tyler, they saved me," she told her father. "When I had nothing, when I was terrified and hurt, they took me in. They made me feel human again. I can't just leave them." Richard looked at Jack with new eyes. "You could have turned her in for the reward. $20 million, still active after all these years. You could have collected it and been set for life." Jack shrugged. "Never crossed my mind. She needed help, not a transaction. Most people would have seen the opportunity. I'm not most people. And she's not an opportunity. She's a person who needed kindness." Richard was quiet for a long moment. "Then what do you do, Mr. Dalton? For work?" "I'm a furniture maker. Build custom pieces. It's enough to get by." "Would you consider working for me? I have several properties that need custom furniture, restoration work on antiques. I'd pay you a retainer that would let you focus on your craft without worrying about making ends meet. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's gratitude. You gave me back my daughter. Let me give you security for your son." Richard paused. "And Sophia would like you and Tyler to visit. Often. You're family to her now, Mr. Dalton. That doesn't change just because she's found her biological family." Over the following months, a new normal emerged. Sophia split her time between her father's estate and regular visits to Jack's farm. She was healing, slowly remembering fragments of her childhood, building relationships with the family she'd lost. But she also maintained her bond with Jack and Tyler, the people who'd seen her at her most broken and hadn't turned away. Richard kept his word about the work, sending Jack commissions that paid more than he'd made in entire years before. Tyler got to attend a better school while still living in the house he'd grown up in. and Jack found himself with something he'd never expected: an extended family that valued him not for what he could provide, but for who he was. 2 years after that rainy night, Jack attended Sophia's college graduation. She decided to study social work, focusing on helping trafficking victims recover and reintegrate. Richard sat on one side of Jack, Tyler on the other, all of them cheering as Sophia crossed the stage. "Thank you," Richard said quietly to Jack as they watched, "for seeing a person who needed help instead of a case number, for giving her safety when she had nothing, for reminding me that money can't buy the things that truly matter: compassion, integrity, family." "She did the hard part," Jack replied. "Surviving, healing, finding her way back. I just provided a safe place to do it." "That's everything, Jack. That safe place was everything." As they left the ceremony, Sophia hugged them all: her father, her brother who'd been born after her disappearance, and then Jack and Tyler, just as tightly. "You know what I remember most clearly from that night?" she asked Jack. "Not the rain or the fear or the pain. I remember you offering me a choice. I'm not taking you anywhere you don't want to go. You gave me agency when I had none. You treated me like a person who deserved respect and safety. That's what saved me, Jack. Not just pulling over, but seeing me as someone worth saving." Later, as Jack and Tyler drove back to their farm, now renovated and expanded with Richard's help, but still fundamentally the same home they'd always known, Tyler asked the question that had been on his mind for 2 years. "Dad, do you ever think about the reward? $20 million? Jack was quiet for a moment. "You know what I got instead? A friend who became family. The satisfaction of knowing I did the right thing. The chance to show you what it means to help someone without expecting anything in return." He glanced at his son. "Money would have been nice, but what we got was better. Even though we're not rich, we're rich in the things that matter, Ty. We have enough. We have each other. We have people who care about us. That's wealth most people never find. One rainy night, one decision to pull over, one choice to see a terrified stranger as someone who needed help rather than someone else's problem. That's all it took to save a life, reunite a family, and remind everyone involved that humanity's greatest strength isn't in what we accumulate, but in how we treat each other when it costs us something to care."